welcome to Beyond Abuse. Today I want to talk about lies and the misconception of lies, the lie about lies, and how to detect if someone is lying or they're not lying. If you're like me, you are with a narcissistic person, an abuser, and part of that is lying. Right? We have to buy into what their fantasy world is. And in order for them to accomplish that, there is a plethora of lies. I was able to detect lies from the very beginning of the relationship. Things that you would never think someone would need to lie about. Like, why would you lie about things that you can honestly prove to be true? Why does that make sense? My illusion of what someone lies for would be based on they're afraid, and they can't be honest with you because they did something wrong and they're trying to protect themselves from the wrath of you being angry, which is the average person's conception about why someone lies. So oftentimes the victim of someone who's a pathological liar, who's an abuser, is that somehow we're at fault for those lies. That if we had only been more understanding, if only we had been what they needed us to be, they could have been honest with us from the very beginning, which is so destructive to us believing that, as well as outsiders believing that if they lied, that's giving them a pass for the fact that they lied. And it didn't matter what the lie was about. And that's something that they can't understand. And we had a hard time understanding. So the outside world is under that same misconception of why someone lies. So today I want to talk about how they lie and also how they get away with it. We don't detect it. Well, they lie to inflate themselves in their situation. So even if you can prove that they're lying, they're going to want to make the fishtail, right? That the fish was this big. But it's not with just the fish. It's with anything and everything. Minute, small things. It's important that they puff themselves up to feel better, or to minimize anything they may have ever done wrong because it can't be their fault or can't be a big deal. That whole thing does not start the same way we would think. They may present it as if they want to be honest with you. I had that. I want to be honest with you. I want to tell you this. So they get you under this illusion, a foundation of truth that you think you're on, when this is basically a setup for every lie after that. If you buy into the fact that they're being honest with you and that their motive is that I don't want any secrets, which is exactly what I was told, you assume anything after that is truth. I fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. And when I would find something was off, I would keep referencing that point. But you knew what it was like to have dishonesty because you told me you didn't want any secrets. Why would you say that? Well, now I understand why. It was the setup. It was the foundation that I kept returning back to, and I couldn't get below that surface to understand there's an intention that was set forth, and this was a trap and a way to guide how the relationship would move forward. So they will lie about big things and small things. And it's also a test. Will you buy into that lie? Can I get you to believe something that's not true? Will you question it? I know I'm on the right path. Like, I know I'm doing really good because I tell you this. And you bought it. So then it perpetuates the bigger lies, the second life lies. If you are with someone who's had a second life that's totally the opposite, we've got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde going on, that they present themselves as this, but there's a whole facade and secretness that's going on the outside. Those lies are important for them to be able to do those things. So how did you not pick up? Most of us were empathic. We've been in situations for years where we had to really be hyper vigilant and pay attention to our environment and cues from people, their body language, their voice tones. We would adjust and change in a survival mode. And we learned that very well. And it's so automatic, we don't even know that we're doing it. But with the abuser, we talked ourselves out of some of that. They gave us mixed messages, and we had to choose between one or the other. We call it cognitive dissonance. We cannot have two opposite sides of the coin. We can't have someone that's shy and bashful and afraid to even ask for what they want on the dinner menu on your beginning dates, and be someone that would be so bold and hurtful and vengeful and sadistic. And those two do not match. So with cognitive dissonance, our brain can't think of both things at the same time. It's got to make a choice. And your intuition's telling you one thing, pay attention to this. And you're like, oh, but look over here. This is nice. Look at this person. Seems weak and needy and needs me. Really, it's the covert narcissist pretending to be that to get you to ignore this. So we get fooled because we don't understand the language and what's happening within our own body. That if we were taught this, we wouldn't have been in this situation to begin with. The other part of it is that there's no remorse and there is no empathy in their world. So it's easy for them to lie because they don't have that feeling that would come out if we were to lie. If we were to lie, we would be feeling bad. Some of that would bubble up to the surface. So when someone has compassion, they have empathy, and they do feel bad for someone else, even if they don't want to tell them the truth because it might be hurtful, a little white lie, you kind of buy that they're not telling you the truth. The other one is that they're consistent with their lies. If your abuser was like mine, every time the story was told, it was retold the same way, unless it was gaslighting. That's a whole nother topic. But if it was just the baseline of lies for their facade, each person they told the same story that would inflate them. So if the person's been in a car accident and they lost teeth, they would always lie about how many it was versus the real truth. So it made it easier to tell a lie because in their mind, if I lost 3 or 4, it's not as big a deal as I lost 8. So that makes them feel like they're more powerful, stronger, that they were more a victim, they went through more tragedy. So they need to twist it, but they have that in their head as the script. So it's easy for them to redo it. In our world, if we were lying, we couldn't keep track of our lies. But they've been doing this for so long, they're good at it. And if they do slip up, they use it as gaslighting to get us confused. But usually that's saved for when they're trying to get out of trouble and they really want you to focus elsewhere. But when it comes to the lies they tell, they get away with it because of the way they say it. It's as a matter of fact, as we said, it's sunny outside. It's no big deal. They can look you in the eye. That's a myth. They can look you straight in the eye and they can lie to your face. They can look you in the eye and do what they do best. And it doesn't faze them. So what we were told about the behavior of someone who lies does not match the abuser, the con person, the person who does this their entire life. What you've been taught is what a child does who has not perfected it yet. That is, the kids doing a little dance, won't look at you because they haven't mastered it. That doesn't work with someone who is a pathological liar, often a narcissist, whether covert or overt. The covert definitely has a bigger repertoire of the lies that they tell because they can't let you know at all how they truly feel inside, where the overt can let it out in a more grandiose way. The covert is hiding the fact that they're manipulating and the fact that they feel grandiose on the inside. So it's like a double whammy. And I'm really sorry for the lies that you have been told, because it's a really hard pill to swallow, to unravel and understand that everything you thought you knew about your relationship was nothing but a lie. But at the end of the day, when you start able to unravel and get a true story out of the fantasy, your healing will grow and grow tremendously, because it's the lies that kept us stuck and enmeshed in a relationship that was so unhealthy. So as we're unraveling the lies, we're also starting to pull away from the thoughts, the feelings, the dreams that we had to let go. But we need to let that grieve, to grieve the lies and the fantasy of what we thought was true that was never what we thought it was. So it's like the person, for me, that I had a relationship with that was a covert narcissist, that person was dead to me. Once I understood the totality of everything, they were dead. They were not the same person. I even changed what their name was. I went by a formal name, not the nickname I used forever, because that person that I knew, that nickname, never ever existed. And that was helpful to me to shift what I called that person, because this person I never knew didn't deserve the name, the endearing name, and the connection I had in that relationship. So using the formal name allowed me some that distance and reminder that that person I see, that person I know, and that person I had built a life around was not at all who I thought that they were. But the good news is that you're shedding the lies away and opening up the ability to move beyond the abuse, to get on the other side, which is something some of us have never been away from. We've had it in some way, shape, or form our entire lives. So that's the great news. The great news is that we're finding our way in the world without abuse. Abuse-free is the most beautiful thing. Our life doesn't have to be perfect, but the last thing anybody needs is to be living in and around abuse. We don't deserve it. We don't need it. We can't thrive in it. And that is the goal. We've worked so long and so hard, much harder than we needed to, in relationships that were toxic and didn't work for us. Becoming toxic free and being able to recognize the signs and moving forward much wiser than we ever were before. Thank you for tuning in to Beyond Abuse. I send out to you much peace, love, and joy out to all of you. If that is what you're looking for, I know I was looking for that too. I did it. You can do it. I believe in you. Take care, and I say ta-ta for now until I see you again.